Today I shall be talking about gambesons or padded jackets. Did they have them in Saxon Viking times, or are they a later addition, or are they earlier? So what is a gambeson? Let's just put my tickling stick down, and here is a classic example. It's made of pigskin. You notice there's channels. This is stuffed with wool. This particular one does up at the back. This could be worn under mail, or, as it seems to be in Scotland, they're worn over the top of mail. I don't suppose it makes much difference. Did they have them? It's a difficult question. We know that mail starts in the Iron Age. Presumably there would be some form of padding like that, because wearing a mail shirt, if you hit it, yes, it protects you from blows, but the rings can dig in. So I would assume where you have mail, you have a padded jacket. However, I was always told, correct me if I'm wrong, is that they had, Saxons and Vikings in the early period had deerskin coats similar to that with iron rings on it, which I know that in the Viking period, if you wanted to go on a long ship from Sweden, you had to have deerskin jacket with the iron rings, quiver of arrows, axe or sword, and a spear. Oh, and of course a bow. Mail was extremely rare. This is where I'm coming from. I mean, we know there was a mail shirt at Sutton Hoo, so that's 7th century. Brings it into the Saxon period. Obviously there was no evidence of a padded jacket or jerkin because it just simply been rotted away. That doesn't mean there wasn't one. If you've got a mail shirt, I would imagine that you would have to have some form of padding. Having worn a mail shirt, I can assure you, you need padding underneath. It's not a matter of looking cool, it's a matter of stopping injuries. So whether they'd have had exactly like this I think is more 12th century. But having said that, they would have, I'm sure, some form of padding underneath. Those of you who worn mail will know what I'm talking about. So, that's covered that subject pretty briefly, I admit. But you see, the problem is, it's organic material, and when you bury something, obviously organic material perishes. In certain cases, like a Sutton Hoo, even steel and iron begins to break down. There are tests you can make for these, but not for, as far as I know, there's no test for fabric. That doesn't mean to say, of course, that there wasn't fabric. I mean, on the contrary, we've seen from the Oseberg ship tapestries of very fine clothing, and people always want to look good. It's just what they do. And in battle, you want stuff that saves your life, that stops you getting severely injured, obviously. And it's a trade-off between that and mobility. I would assume that there would be some form of padding. A canvas jacket, possibly, or leather, padded. You imagine you tie it down here and here. You have a thin stick and you just packed it as tight as you can, and that will absorb a lot of impact. Another thing it does, sir, on a cold day, it's a nice little overcoat for you. It also shows you're not a person to be messed with. So a very useful piece of kit, I think you'll agree. Did everyone have one? Of course not. We don't even really know exactly. I mean, to me this screams 12th century. That doesn't mean to say they didn't have them in the Saxon period. It may just be a simple slip over. Who knows? Until we can find one and prove it one way or the other, it's one of those things that obviously they must have had something. Like I said again, if you've got mail, you need padding. You can't have one without the other, because otherwise you will have rings of iron embedded in you. Maybe you've got some ideas. Maybe you could tell us what you think or what you've found out through research. 4,000 years ago, we know, as I said earlier, we know that the Iron Age, they had mail. I've never actually seen some myself. They certainly had the skill to make it. But where did it come from before then? It must have come from somewhere. It's quite... Making mail is one of those things you can either do or you can't, and I can't. One guy I know who was pretty good at it was Taiki. He got the mindset that he could just sit there and knock it out. A clever bloke like that. To me, it's just a total mystery. I like wearing it, but making it, forget it. But perhaps, as I say, somebody's got better ideas. The Gambeson. I doubt if it was called a Gambeson, but padded jacket is what I know them as. Gambeson, like I say, does tend to me to be something from the 12th century or Norman period, for want of a better word. But I think that's about all I can really say. No doubt you guys out there, you've got something to say on it, and I'd be very interested to hear what you have to say. As far as I know, we haven't actually recovered archaeologically any authentic padded jackets. There may be traces left on mail or in graves, I don't know. I certainly never heard of it mentioned when I was a student, and goodness knows they mentioned enough then. Whether there was one at Sutton Hoo, we can't say, because unfortunately where it was excavated in 39, it was quite normal. People never thought about things like that, and things got destroyed. So anyway, to draw a line, I hope you've enjoyed this. As I say, keep safe and make the world a happier place. Bye.